Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about one of the most iconic and longest reigning monarchs in history, Queen Elizabeth II. She was a figure of strength, continuity, and tradition for over 70 years, serving as the head of state for the United Kingdom and several other Commonwealth nations. Her reign spanned decades of incredible change, and she witnessed and played a role in some of the most defining moments of the 20th and 21st centuries. Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21, 1926, in London, England. She was the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, who later became King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. At the time of her birth, she was not expected to become queen. Her father was the second son of King George V, and her uncle Edward VIII was the heir to the throne. However, in 1936, Edward abdicated the throne to marry American divorcee Wallis Simpson, which led to Elizabeth's father becoming king and Elizabeth herself becoming the heir presumptive. From a very young age, Elizabeth was trained and educated with the responsibilities of a future monarch in mind. She studied constitutional history and law and received instruction in religion, language, and the arts. Alongside her younger sister, Princess Margaret, she also received military training during World War II, and in 1945, she joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, where she trained as a mechanic and driver. This made her the first female member of the royal family to serve in the armed forces. In 1947, Elizabeth married Philip Mountbatten, a former Prince of Greece and Denmark. Their marriage was a strong partnership that lasted over 70 years, until Prince Philip's death in 2021. Together, they had 4 children: Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. Prince Charles, now King Charles III, is her eldest son and successor. Elizabeth became queen on February 6, 1952, following the death of her father, King George VI. Her coronation took place on June 2, 1953, and it was the first coronation to be televised, allowing millions of people around the world to witness the event. Her reign began at a time when Britain was still recovering from the Second World War and facing the end of the British Empire. Over the decades, she oversaw the transition from empire to Commonwealth, a voluntary association of independent nations. One of the most remarkable aspects of Queen Elizabeth II's reign was her ability to adapt to change while maintaining the dignity and traditions of the monarchy. Throughout the decades, she met with hundreds of world leaders, including U.S. presidents from Truman to Biden, and played a critical role in British diplomacy. Though her powers were largely ceremonial and constitutional, her presence provided stability and continuity through countless political transitions and social upheavals. Queen Elizabeth II was not just a British figure, she was a global one. She was the head of state for more than a dozen countries, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. She visited over 100 countries and carried out thousands of engagements throughout her reign. Her commitment to public service and duty was unwavering. Even in her 90s, she continued to attend events and meetings, including virtual engagements during the COVID-19 pandemic. Her role as a unifying figure was perhaps most evident during national crises. She addressed the nation in times of hardship, such as after the death of Princess Diana in 1997. The 9/11 attacks in 2001, the London bombings in 2005, and the pandemic in 2020. Her messages of resilience and hope provided comfort to millions. Her famous line during the early days of the pandemic, "We will meet again," echoed a wartime sentiment that resonated deeply. Queen Elizabeth II was also known for her love of animals, particularly dogs and horses. She owned over 30 corgis in her lifetime, and horse racing was one of her greatest passions. Her stables bred and raced many successful horses, and she was often seen attending races like the Royal Ascot. Despite her position, she was known to have a quiet sense of humor and a deep knowledge of history, politics, and world affairs. Over the years, the monarchy faced many challenges, from family scandals and divorces to criticism about its relevance in modern society. Yet Queen Elizabeth remained a symbol of stability. Her personal integrity and dedication helped sustain the monarchy's place in British life. She modernized many aspects of royal protocol and communication, including the use of social media and televising royal events to remain connected with the public. One significant development during her reign was the gradual but important change in the Commonwealth. Elizabeth was deeply committed to the idea of a global family of nations. Under her reign, many former colonies gained independence, but chose to remain within the Commonwealth. She took pride in fostering unity among diverse cultures and peoples, and she attended nearly every Commonwealth heads of government meeting during her reign. Her Diamond Jubilee in 2012 marked 60 years on the throne, and it was celebrated with nationwide events and international tributes. In 2022, her Platinum Jubilee commemorated 70 years as Queen, an unprecedented milestone in British history. The events included a Trooping the Colour parade, concerts, and beacons lit across the world. It was a moment of national pride and reflection on her extraordinary legacy. Despite her advancing age, Queen Elizabeth continued her royal duties almost until the very end. One of her last public acts was appointing Liz Truss as Prime Minister in September 2022. Just 2 days later, on September 8, 2022, the world was shocked and saddened by the news of her passing at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. She was 96 years old and had served as Queen for over 70 years, the longest reigning monarch in British history. Her death marked the end of an era. Tributes poured in from across the world, highlighting her sense of duty, calm presence, and unwavering commitment. Crowds gathered at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle to pay their respects. Her state funeral, watched by millions, was a solemn reminder of the global impact she had over her lifetime. Following her death, her son Charles ascended to the throne as King Charles III. While his reign marks a new chapter for the monarchy, the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II continues to shape the institution and the nation. Her image, values, and reign are likely to be remembered and studied for generations. Queen Elizabeth II lived through and reigned during an era of remarkable transformation. From the post-war era to the digital age, she remained a constant figure in a changing world. Her life was defined by service, not just to her country, but to the people of the Commonwealth and the broader international community. Her long reign allowed her to build connections with leaders, foster diplomacy, and represent Britain on the world stage. It's worth noting the personal qualities that made Queen Elizabeth II such a respected figure. She was composed, well-informed, discreet, and remarkably dedicated. Unlike many modern leaders, she rarely gave interviews, and she never publicly expressed political opinions. Her neutrality was key to her role, and it allowed people from all walks of life to see her as a unifying figure rather than a divisive one. Even though she was born into privilege, her life was far from easy. From the burdens of wartime, family pressures, and the constant scrutiny of the public and media, she carried the responsibilities of monarchy with grace. Her sense of humor and calm demeanor added to her charm, and many who met her spoke of her warmth and intelligence. In the end, Queen Elizabeth II was more than just a queen. She was a symbol of continuity, resilience, and quiet strength. She showed the world that leadership can be exercised not only through power or politics, but through consistency, service, and dedication. Her legacy will live on through the institutions she upheld, the people she inspired, and the changes she witnessed and guided with steadiness and grace. Thank you for watching my video. Like, comment, and subscribe my video.